Why do novels succeed? Well, good connections, you earned your Patreon goals, and your novel was very fun to read. Those are the three answers that come to my mind, but you guys might have been looking for something more technical, like how do I improve my novel so that the writing is so good that it can't help but succeed? Well, I will be making those kinds of videos soon enough, but not now. I'm not a master of the craft, so please take everything that I say with a grain of salt. Okay, copious amounts of salt. Imagine you're under the sea. That's the amount of salt you should take while listening to what I say, because what I say is only going to be personal experience. It's not going to be some gospel that's always going to be true, okay? What do I mean when I say connections, money goals, or did I say Patreon goals? Whatever. And fun. Well, let me explain them step by step. What I'm talking about here is not actually why traditional novels succeed. I'm talking about why Royal Road web novels succeed. It could also be true on webnovel.com or Scribblehub or Wattpad, for example, but I'm specifically talking about Royal Road, where I publish my web novel, okay? In Royal Road, if you have been reading novels for a long time, you will see this one thing. When chapters are published, the authors have a space in the top of the chapter and the bottom of the chapter. On the top, usually the convention is to shout out other novels. Now, if you've been on Instagram or YouTube, the shout out, it means like sometimes a bigger creator shouts out a smaller creator, and the bigger creator's followers go to the smaller creator's, well, YouTube channel, and then they subscribe. The concept is similar, but I think it's less financially motivated because you have to ask for a shout out when you want to publish your novel. You don't have to, but you can ask for it, and the other authors, they're free to say yes or no. It depends on many things. How you ask, if that author is known to give shout outs, if they are part of a community that kind of helps and supports each other. Sometimes if you're abusing shout outs, it can really piss some readers off, so a lot of authors won't shout out every chapter. Me, on the other hand, I think my readers are quite fine with receiving these kinds of advertisements of novels while they're reading a chapter of my own novel. In fact, a lot of readers have told me personally that that's the primary way how they find new web novels to read. They don't really go through the Rising Stars page or Best Rated page. They want to read what the author recommends. So yeah, connections. The reason why this is important is because a lot of your readers can come from shoutouts, especially during the Rising Stars period. On Royal Road, there's a thing for new released novels when after they meet specific performance metrics, they go on a list on the front page of the website that's called the Rising Stars list, and the Royal Road front page gets a lot of hits. Right, so a lot of new eyes fall on those top 7 or top 10 Rising Star novels. And one of those requirements to get on those lists is a certain pace of growth, shall I say. No one really knows the algorithm because, well, they made it secret, and it makes sense that the algorithm is secret. But people can do some empirical testing, shall I say, to find out some of the prerequisites. And one of the most well-known one is, well, you'd have to at least have 20,000 words published. I think this is also announced on the Royal Road website itself. You can check it out. Yeah, there's a certain growth requirement too, and shoutouts can really help with this. It can also be a double-edged blade where it can also kind of handicap you if you're receiving a lot of major shoutouts from a lot of big creators right at the start. It's a complicated thing. I just wanted to touch up on it. On the web novel community, connection really is important. You have to be polite. You can't really be, an asshole to other people. You have to be willing to help other people out, and they can help you out too. That isn't to say that you need shoutouts to succeed. There's plenty of books out there. Just publish their novels and boom, it just succeeds a lot. And it depends on your definition of success, right? If you think, okay, getting 100 followers or 1,000 followers or 5,000 followers is your definition, you could probably get 100 followers or a couple of hundred followers even without shoutouts, even with a, I don't want to say mediocre novel, but I'm just going to say it. I'm not a good judge of novels, okay? It's so subjective that only you can judge what's good for you and what's mediocre for you. Unless it has like horrible grammar, then it's a bad novel. Come on, guys.
Edit your novels.
I think I rambled for a bit, but yes, shoutouts and connections, these are very important things. Connections can help you in other ways through. They can make various Discord groups where authors like to hang out or Facebook groups more accessible for you. And from more senior authors, people who know the tools of the trade better than you can, well, learn a lot of things from them, shall I say. There's a bunch of other different ways connections can be helpful too. Like if you want to sign up with a publisher, it helps to know author who are already part of that publisher, or even the owners of the publisher themselves, because people are very often willing to give you a chance through trust alone, because as I said, no one really knows which novels are gonna be a huge success and which aren't. There's of course some metrics, people can guess them, but it's a very random stochastic game. Okay, so yeah, connections. Number 2, if you have reached your money or Patreon goals. This is a very common measure of success for novels on Royal Road. This is also very subjective. For someone, it might be, even if I earn $5 on Patreon, then my novel is a success, right? For other people's, unless they earn something like $2,000 a month from their Patreon supporters, it's not a success. Even if they're earning $1,000, which is way beyond the threshold of what the first author would consider a success, they would still be dissatisfied, so they would consider their novel a failure. This is a sad reality. Including me, a lot of authors have gone through this phase where the numbers really affect them. The change in growth rate in the Rising Stars period, novels take off, boom, hundreds of followers every day. But then when that ends, usually a lot of novels stagnate, like not really any followers over the months. There's some novels that are still growing like quite well, but some novels, they grow, I don't know, a few tens of followers every month. My novel is kind of like that, but I already have like 6,500 people who are already reading my novel every chapter that kind of comes out. So is it really fair of me to think my novel is a failure if my novel doesn't grow in followers anymore? And is it also fair of me to think if my novel is a failure or not if I don't get that many Patreon followers, or if the number of Patreon readers pledges go down month after month after month? A lot of people think so. A lot of authors think so, because for a lot of them, they want this to be their profession too, not just a hobby. I think from the bottom of my heart, people who write novels, even professionally, they really enjoy writing these genres of novel. They really enjoy reading these genres of novel, and they would want to make it into more of a profession for, yes, monetary reasons, but it's also their dream, right? Someone who wants to be a pro footballer, someone who wants to be a pro magician, someone who wants to be a pro novelist, professional, earning money from it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And when they see that their novel isn't performing well subjectively for them, then they think that novel is a failure. So what is one of the best ways to make it so that you have more Patreon pledges or you have more Amazon sales? Well, you have to be able to write good hooks. I think that's very important. Writing good cliffhangers is very, very essential. Markedly so for driving followers to read your story on Patreon, where they have to pay to read. That's one of the ways, and cliffhangers are not the only way to writing these hooks. Making your novel so that there's some kind of overarching mystery that readers are really interested in finding out. What happens next? What are these characters going to do? It doesn't have to be immediately after that chapter, but what are the characters going to do throughout the next arc? I really want to see the growth of this character. I am emotionally invested. That's why I didn't say just cliffhangers. Even though cliffhangers are a really important skill, I'm not that good at them. It's really important to make your novel have that kind of overarching mystery, a lot of answers that can be, well, given to the readers in a satisfying way. The questions are answered and it doesn't feel like some kind of cheap deus ex machina. That's gonna ruin credibility. If you have the credibility, if you have the trust of the readers and you can deliver on that kind of mystique, that kind of suspense, I think that's a really good way to make your novel financially successful when it comes to Patreon. All this is to say, you have to make your novel fun. That's the third reason. Look, you could have 100 shoutouts from authors who have thousands of followers, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. You could be writing the best cliffhangers of all. You could be studying how to write mysteries. You read all the books and you kind of internalize all the skills, right? And if your novel is not fun to read, then no matter how many shoutouts you get or how much you think your novel has a good cliffhanger, good hook, a good mystery, a good character that readers are invested in, if the readers don't think so, if the readers aren't having fun while reading your novel, then they are not going to go to Patreon. They're not going to follow your novel. They're not going to comment. And for a lot of people, that is a failure. Again, fun is very subjective. There are many people who are way into science fiction, even though science fiction doesn't do that well on Royal Road, in my opinion. There's a lot of science fiction stories that actually did do a lot of high numbers. And I said that in Royal Road, progression fantasy, lit RPG, or the Chinese genre, anything isekai, those do well, averagely well, or really well. Anything that are not them kinda don't do well, but there have been stories that have done well regardless of whether they are part of these genres or not. But the thing is, most of Royal Road readers find stories from these genres, from this market, fun. If you, for example, can make other kind of stories fun, then, well, good to you. But for me, after reading so much, I don't want to call it brain rot, but these kinds of web novels like junk fiction, fast fiction, hey, look, they can be good junk food too, right? So why can't there be good junk fiction? If I read really traditionally kind of structured novels right now where, like, for every battle the main character just barely wins and every victory comes up with some kind of huge price to pay, like a Pyrrhic victory. I forgot how to say that. I know how to write it, I don't know how to say it. Pyrrhic victory, like those kinds of victories. I don't like that. I want the payoffs to be very satisfying. And I find that my readers and a lot of Royal Road readers really hate it when I hype certain events or certain circumstances up and that gets resolved, but the payoff is not so, well, subjectively, according to the reader, satisfying. A fun novel is a satisfying novel. And if your novel is not satisfying to read, if it's not believable in a way that the readers can still be immersed into the story, even though there's a lot of fantastical elements going on, then your novel is not going to succeed. Vice versa, if it is very satisfying, then your novel is going to succeed on Royal Road. But I think this kind of goes for all novels in general, whether they are from specific genres or not. People define fun very subjectively, like I said. Some people like tragedies. Some people like romance where there is happy ending. Some people like, well, romances where there's less than a stellar happy ending. Some people are really fans of deep philosophical stuff, experimental fiction, literary fiction, and some people really like sprawling space operas with newly discovered worlds and amazing world building, even if the characterization is a bit more shallower. So how the readers define fun is very subjective, and if you want to succeed in specific genres, specific website, I think you have to understand what that fun is and then write so that your novel is fun in that kind of way. You can write whatever you want. You can completely disregard these opinions that I have given you. Yes, and they are merely opinions, because as I have said before, there have been many novels on Railroad, on Scribble Hub, on Patreon that have succeeded beyond measure, even though they did not, well, follow any of these 3 points that I mentioned. Connection, financial success as defined by the authors, and fun. The video is a bit messy, but I think I got my point across. If you are more interested in learning how to publish a novel, how to plan your launch, so to speak, I can share my experience on that. I'm going to actually share this on the next video. I'll be linking it in one of these sites. And yeah, if you want to watch a video where I explain why novels fail, specifically web novels fail, I'm gonna link it on one of these sites so you can watch that video. And if you like the stuff that I'm talking about here, I'm gonna make more videos on Railroad, web novels, and just writing in general, then please subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, it really helps out with the algorithm, and I will see you next time.